Traffic jam going on. Frode Estil leading this file. And on the far side there,
Albin Hjelmeset, we can see to the right side also very good and relaxed just here. Moving also here into the lead between Verpalo. But I think that Anders Aukland is struggling a little bit longer after the lead.
Now here's, well, you can't quite see him. You can now on the right there, Hjelmeset, the Lillehammer man, and the Olympic, of course, 50-kilometer bronze medalist in Salt Lake City. And when he's good, he's very good. He's already had a little bit of bad luck in the sense that he missed out on the sprint final, finishing in 5th place. But of course, delighted to get a gold medal as part of the Norwegian relay team. Norway, who've dominated all the team events, the relays and the sprints, and until Marit Bjørgen yesterday hadn't actually won an individual gold. But she's very definitely the athlete of the championship so far, and it'll take a hell of a performance today to take that away from her. So we'll take a little break. Frode Estil has made a move. Jakmai's covering it. Hassler's up there as well. Hjelmeset just behind. Back after this.
We have Frode Estil in the lead, and he is done a higher speed, I think, in this competition, but just now slowing a little again. So we have all together still.
Well, it's not going good for everybody, sadly. There are one or two who are beginning to run into trouble, and here's one. This is Benoit Chauvet, and I'm afraid his day is done. Could be skis, could be just up in his head, might just run out of petrol.
He will not be it will be many during the competition, I think, that will go out of the tracks.
Indeed, Inge, because this isn't just a physical test, there's a mental aspect here.
It's both, of course, and the course is very, very tough, so I think for the next couple of laps we will see a lot of skiers going out.
54 just behind there, that's Rodo Klebov of Finland. Doesn't sound very Finnish, sounds as if he travelled across the Russian border. Well, as we've already heard from Jörg Kapol about the shape and form of the World Championships as it is today, let's hear from him again about a little dream that he has. And I mentioned the Tour de Ski, and here are some of his thoughts about a future innovation.
We stay on that level as we are now, and of the same formats. And as I said, it needs also a certain years of continuation. Otherwise, you will not remember what happened 2 years ago. And when I look at the World Cup part, I guess we have some new ideas which come into now to the World Cup planification, and we are looking forward to organize kind of a Tour de France for cross-country skiers, where the whole cross-country family take part with, let's say, with sprint events, with mass starts, with interval starts, and then after that tour, then you can see who is really the big ski champion or cross-country champion, and that gives also the chance to get some new profiles, and let's say to show up the profile first of all, and that's an important point.
So back live now with the race, and still Frode Estil and Hjelmeset up front there, and from the man who is responsible for the systems management and all the organisation and the innovation in the new World Cup competitions, to a man who has been responsible for designing the cross-country courses, the last Olympic courses at high altitude at Salt Lake City, and indeed the high-altitude courses coming up next year in Pragelato, and he's already got his mind on what he might design in Vancouver. Hermut Bjørkestål is that man. He's sitting right alongside me. Good afternoon, Hermut. Thanks for stopping by. Cross-country courses, difficult to design, and a lot of competitors think that these are amongst the hardest here. What's your opinion of the tracks here in Oberstdorf?
It's really a physical test for the athletes. It's a really tough course. It's varied. You have into the valley here, you have a very tough climb. And to the other valley, to the ski flying hill, it's an easier part of it. But so I think they've put together a good course, combining both the easier terrain and the more heavy terrain.
But as a course designer, in a way, you're an architect, aren't you? But also you have to be a little bit of a showman, because this isn't just for the racers, it's for the public and the fans.
Yeah, we want to make a folks festival, and I say that if you go to a theater, you have to see the performance, and then you do not put the performance outside the house. So we try to make the courses so that the competition is visible to the spectators.
So how do you actually go out and design your course? There's a piece of meadow with forest and trees. You start with a blank piece of paper. What happens?
At first, you decide where to put the stadium. And then the first thing I'm looking for is it a good hill close to the stadium, because this should be the finishing part of the course. So because you try to build up to a great final, and to maintain the excitement to the finish. And also, where the decision is made, it should be visible for the spectators. That's the first thing I do.
And where does the steep down descent? I mean, here we've got something of a giant slalom into the stadium. It seems to have worked very well.
Yeah, it works very well here. Personally, I do like to have a little bit climb before the finish, because I would like to see the struggle. But what's important here is the skis. You have to have good glide, and we saw Marit Bjørgen yesterday. She had very good glide on the skis. And this is also an interesting aspect of the sport.
Yeah, your Norwegian countrymen seem to do rather well on this last climb into the stadium. I mean, as we speak today, at this very moment, Norway 6 gold, 3 silver, 5 bronze, 14 medals in total. You're at the top of the tree. Why are you so good?
No, we are happy for that. We have had very successful championships. First of all, we have been lucky to avoid sickness in the team. Only one athlete had to go home because of that. But we have been working hard since, let's say, May, or over many years. But to prepare for this season, we started in May, and we have been training. And we have also made a lot of high altitude training.
But many tears yesterday when Marit Bjørgen finally succeeded. Only earlier this season in Gällivare, she won a 10k classic. She never won anything other than a sprint, and here, a day on, she is the 30 kilometer classic champion. Can you assess that achievement for us?
I think I'm not sure. Maybe Inge can help me, but that might be the first 30k victory for Norway ever. And this is because this is very historical for us. And also, Marita has a very strong wish of being a distant racer as well as a sprinter. And when he got the achievement yesterday, I think it was very emotional to her, and we could see that.
And we're looking, I mean, we rejoiced and enjoyed the career of Bente Skåri. And here in Marit Bjørgen, suddenly we're looking at someone who can stride and glide in classic, who can skate in freestyle, who can win a sprint, who can run 30k in classic. I mean, this is all-round talent.
Yeah, it's all-round talent, and I think in the both for men and women today, she might be the only athlete capable of winning all events or all formats that we have in the championship program today. I do not see anybody else who can do that.
Now, I must admit, I was a skeptic when they said, right, the individual sprint was going to be in classic. It was a cracking race, and no lesser man than the Olympic champion Tor Arne Hetland said the best race in sprint he'd ever been in. Were you impressed by the way that the classic sprint worked?
Yes, and I'd like to see more speed in the cross country and see the power performance. And it's easier to see that in classical technique than in skating, I think.
But let's come back to the course design on that very point. There's also a view, and I share that view, that courses of 1,200 metres over really tough terrain, they're not, let's be honest, really sprint courses. They're playing more into the hands of the regular World Cup endurance athletes. Do you think those courses now ought to be shorter and a little bit easier to open it up a little bit more?
We have had great discussions about that, and it has been varying from time to time a little bit. From the beginning, somebody wanted to have very short courses. Then we came to approximately 1,500 meters should be the distance. We have tried, I think, over the last 2 years to have a shorter courses down to 1,000 meters, but the cross-country family is not so big, so we think that to split it into 2 disciplines more or less, so to specialize too much, we do not have market enough for 2 kinds of cross-country skiing. So we more like to put all skiers into the same family again, and I think we will stay with the distance that we have today and make it a little bit tougher.
And you can see a little change going on up front there as we've been chatting, and into the lead Fabio Santos for Italy, and also a forward move there from Andy Schluter for Germany. Now, I asked my German colleagues what they thought of Andy Schluter's chances, and they dismissed them. I was quite curious about that. The bookmakers have a view. They were offering 25-1 this morning on the betting, and quite a lot of people actually getting into having a little bet on cross-country. What do you think about that?
Yeah, the increase is the interest for cross-country, and I think it's positive.
Yeah, I think, you know, Frode still 2-1. You wouldn't back those odds because you wouldn't get very rich. But, you know, Verpalu 5s, Matti Fredriksson 20-1 if you're a Swedish fan. And we're still very early in the race, so it can still change. Where are we up to now? 25 kilometres just gone through. Santos, Hassler from Liechtenstein, Schluter, Aukland has recovered, Lukas Bauer, Hjelmeset and Bokvinov has made a move. The man who's won the Oslo 50 in his time in classic style, and Frode still tucked on that group. There's only 3 seconds separating them at the moment, that leading 10 or so. Well, coming back, Herman, to the future, what have you got in plan for us at Pragelato? Because how different is it when you design a course at this sort of altitude, which is 800 meters, not really a great difficulty for the athletes, as opposed to Salt Lake City, which was around 1600, and Pragelato is similar?
The biggest difference is, I think, that we try to shorten the long climbs. I think here the height difference from the stadium to the top of in Burgstall is more than 70 meters, and the highest climb, or highest height difference in one climb in Pragelato is 50 meters. I think that is actually the biggest difference we do. We did the same also for Soldier Hollow. The biggest climb was 50 meters in height difference.
And when you sit down and you watch the races here, when you watch a race and it's over, how do you know? How do you say to yourself, I got it right?
If the athletes think they had a good race or a good journey on the course, it's the best feedback to me.
And how much conversation do you have with the athletes?
Yeah, a lot, and I got feedback. If I hear nothing, it's okay. And if they are not happy, they come to me and tell me that.
And you don't only talk to the Norwegians, do you?
Some of them. And Frode still said, after we had the test event in Pragelato, he said that, Hermod, I do not cut the head of you after this course, making this course.
So Frode Estill's opinion of the, what is it, did you say the pursuit course?
Yeah, it was the whole course system in Pragelato.
So he was pretty happy with that?
I think so. I think most of the athletes was happy. I think maybe some of the ladies thought it was a little bit too hard.
Yeah. Now just take us forward. I mean, it's an awful long way. 2010, it's almost impossible to think about what might happen in Vancouver. But have you got any ideas at the moment as to what you might be doing there?
Yes. I'm working together with the organizing committee there, and we are now making an area plan, and we have to decide where we can put the courses. It's not decided yet, but I think we are close to a decision now, and I think the decision will be made in April.
It's very important, isn't it, when you go to the Olympic Games, to make courses that we can use again. We've seen so many what we call white elephants, particularly in ski jumping hills that have never been used again. Thunder Bay, World Championships 95, they're closed down. Canada Park from 1988. Soldier Hollow, it's being used, but is it being used as much as we would want? If it was closer to Salt Lake City, if it was closer to Park City, although that might be a bit high, you know, would you get more use out of it? So in terms of Vancouver, will you try to make the courses in a sense as close to the population for not only the games but after the games?
It's working with the legacy for Callahan Valley, and
How far is that from?
It's 20 kilometers from Whistler, and
Right.
it's 110 kilometers from Vancouver.
Right.
So, as you know, Whistler is a tourist resort, and I think they may want to develop also Callahan Valley to be a tourist resort, but for Nordic skiing. And there is a plan. They are working on some, let's say, touring trails in addition to the Olympic competition trails in there.
So Nancy Green's doing all the property sales, is she? With Al, her husband.
I don't know.
But that's up near the Alpine, which would be similar to what we're going to have next year in Pragelato, with a lot of the Alpine events happening at Sestriere and the biathlon at San Sicario.
Yeah.
Well, it's been really interesting, Hermod, and we'll hopefully talk some more over the seasons. I'll be seeing you in Holmenkollen in a short while, but for the moment, many thanks for stopping by.
Thank you for being here.
And if you didn't catch the name, I'll give it to you again. Hermod Bjørkestad is the chairman of the cross-country department, looks after the Norwegian skiing, and is responsible for designing the courses both at Pragelato in Italy for Turin and also for Vancouver. So if you don't like them, write to him, not to me. Inge, bring us back into the race.
Yeah, 3 laps to go at the stadium at 27.5 kilometers. Andreas Schlüter from Germany in the lead in front of Markus Hasle, Lukas Bauer, Anders Aukland and Oddbjørn Hjelmeset, also the 5th force. Botvinov also there, and we have more than 35 skiers beneath 10 seconds just now.
Yeah, so really still a very big group, but there's a lot of red pants up there, Inge, and Norway beginning to make their moves now. Hjelmeset is still there, very much to the fore, and Matti Fredriksson wouldn't be more than a couple of seconds off the pace.
And also Kristen Skjeldal up there for the first time in this race.
Well, if anger's anything to do with it, and he's using controlled anger for being left out of the 15, for not really being pleased with that decision, and also not getting into the relay, which really angered him. So maybe now Skjeldal, with a bit between his teeth, can show him what they should have done. Let's hear from Jörg Kapol, the third of his little contributions.
The idea is to have 8 competitions during 10 days, and then you count us in Tour de France the time. And the persons which are the quickest one by counting all the times, he's the winner of this tour. And sprint events can be integrated as well, and you give some for the finalists, give some bonification, and for number 1 50 seconds, for example, number 2 45 seconds, and so on. So you have to take part in all competitions. You cannot choose just, let's say, stage 2 and stage 7 belongs very well to me. You have to go through all the competitions. But all competitions count for the overall World Cup. So that means you can make 700 points if you win all, or 800 points even, by adding maybe a team event as well in this tour. And I guess when you look, you have a little bit more than 20 World Cup competitions during a race, and 7 would take part in this tour. And it's also important from the marketing tool that we give the right face from the beginning. And let's say we need also 1 million of euros of prize money and stuff like that. And then it will be a kind of it's quite similar with some tours in cycling, that the whole circuit will follow up, the whole village will follow up, the whole service village will follow up from stage to stage.
So back live, and Norway's Anders Aukland is leading. Very interesting thoughts there from Jörg Kapol. It's an interesting concept to have a Tour de Ski, which is like a Tour de France, but they've got to find somewhere to have those 8 consecutive races where the snow can be guaranteed, and that's no easy thing to do. And as you've seen here at the World Championships, it's pretty hard to race every day. It's very demanding, and I would have thought, Inge, that it would be pretty difficult for a lot of racers to do all 8 races.
Yeah, it can be, but also the strongest man will be the best one. So I think the cross-country skiing